you're more on the nose than my parents are. They didn't even realize. Well, it was funny. My dad, love him to death, right? He
Mhm.
didn't. And I mean this with so much sincerity. He didn't give a flying fuck what was going on with TikTok because he's like, all right, that's cool.
Right.
Virtual people, whatever.
Mhm.
I told my dad, I'm like, hey, I finally got like the 4 million mark. I'm like, hey, 4 million is kind of cool. He's like, yeah, cool, whatever. He got to work, and a coworker of his was like, oh, are you so and so's dad? And he's like, well, yeah. Well, what about him? And he's like, oh, he has a TikTok. And then he calls me. I'm at fucking work. He's like, do you know you're famous on TikTok? I'm like, oh fuck, really? I had no idea.
Dystopia tonight. Dystopia tonight.
Goodness, hell, oh God. Hi, that's quite the rollout.
It's
Hello,
Rosh
world.
Hashanah. You're all verklempt. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, I'm blushing so much. Hi, nice to meet you guys. Happy belated birthday or happy birthday, I guess.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I'll take it. Every day's a good day, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely it is.
Yeah,
I love
man.
the positivity in this room already. Right off in the beginning, we're all like, it's just soft hand jobs going around right now. It's great.
You know, and everybody deserves a soft handy. You know what I'm saying? It's just, you know what I'm saying? Come on now, it's Monday. I didn't even know it was Labor Day. I thought we were supposed to work on Labor Day. I didn't know the history behind Labor Day, so I'm so sorry for that. But
yeah,
you know, yeah.
I never know what holiday we're supposed to have. It's always the dumbest shit where they're like, at one point it was like, yeah, we all deserve time off, and then it was like, but if you work, you get more of
time
the
and a
less money
half,
we
and you're
give
like,
you.
fuck.
You get time and a half of the next to nothing we pay you.
Exactly. Oh, it's beautiful. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is what we should be getting paid. This is amazing. Holy fuck.
Exactly. I'm like, oh, so this is what the $15 an hour Bernie Sanders keeps talking about. It's like,
I'll tell you what, I'm like, oh my God, it makes me want to actually work. Who the fuck would have thought, right?
I used to have a joke in my act. Every now and again I'll remember it, like bring it up, but it was an MLK joke where I would talk about, you know, everybody knows about his I had a dream speech, but nobody knows about his I had a nightmare speech. And I said it's about a future where white supremacists get time and a half for working on his birthday.
Oh, sweet fuck.
Wow.
Yeah, and it used to split the audience. Like, you just knew where the fucking, like, oh, you have a white cloak that you wear at home and you guys don't.
God, the set of stones on this man. I'm gonna just lay this on y'all right now, and we're gonna see how the fuck this. Oh, good for you, good for you.
It's fun, man. It's fun. Oh, I can imagine you must get some fun because I love the stuff that you talk about, the content that you talk about. One of the things, it was me and my one of my best friends. I think I don't remember which one of us kind of found you on TikTok first, but I just love your kind of candor about like job related stuff and the injustices of working and, you know, how people are treated and stuff like that. That's what, like, we found you doing that kind of shit. We're like, this guy's a fucking like master. Like, you know what I mean? It was like, because it was like, it's hard to talk about that kind of stuff. It's hard to talk about that kind of stuff with any kind of, you know, first of all, I think it was before TikTok was doing the 3-minute thing. So you had like,
yeah,
what?
You had a minute. You got 60 seconds. I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, a minute to crunch in like a message, and you always condensed it beautifully. You made it super funny, and I could just, your level of frustration is just palpable. So I love all that stuff, man.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I really didn't think people resonate with the works. I'm dead serious. I'm so goddamn fed up. I'm like, I can't even. And the thing is, the only reason I told TikTok is I don't got any fucking friends to tell this shit to, because all of them either don't work or they're like still doing school, and I'm like, fuck. So I'm like, hey world, this is some bullshit, and this is my opinion.
Yeah.
People seem to like it, so it means the world. Thank you so much.
Yeah, dude. You earned all of it, man. You have what, like 3 million followers now?
Keep
5
going.
million actually.
5 million. Fuck. Where have I been? 3 million. I'm like, yeah.
You're fine. Check that out. No, you're good.
He just leaves the interview. Sir, I'm offended.
He's like, how fuck did I slam this bathroom door and just leave you? No. I'm offended. Let me go back into my other side of the room. Yeah, of course. No. I mean, honestly, you're more on the nose than my parents are. They didn't even realize. Well, it was funny. My dad, love him to death, right? And I mean this with so much sincerity. He didn't give a flying fuck what was going on with TikTok, because he's like, all right, that's cool. Virtual people, whatever. I told my dad, I'm like, hey, I finally got like the 4 million mark. I'm like, hey, 4 million is kind of cool. He's like, yeah, cool, whatever. He got to work, and a coworker of his was like, oh, are you so-and-so's dad? And he's like, well, yeah, well, what about him? And he's like, oh, he has a TikTok. And then he calls me. I'm at fucking work. He's like, do you know you're famous on TikTok? I'm like, oh, fuck. Really? I had no idea. So, yeah, that's how that worked, too. You're better off than where my dad was at. So, yeah.
Yeah, it definitely takes a while for any past generations to kind of catch up to what any of this stuff is. It doesn't matter. Like, nothing is tangible to them, unless it's like in the shape of a house or or a car or
or a 5.
Yeah, go ahead.
Or a 5 mile walk uphill to school. If they don't do any of that shit, like they're not like, what is that? I don't know what that is. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It is kind of weird. I always think about, because I'm not a I don't work or run on the same kind of clock. I feel like I never have, like, until I
good
like.
For you.
Well, I mean, like I it was only good for me until I could get out of until I really started like doing stand up full time and going out on the road and stuff like that. And then, you live a different kind of lifestyle, but like I always hated getting up early, just like everybody else did, but it was always harder it's just the way I'm not wired that way.
Right.
But I always thought it was super funny when like your parents would be like, you're wasting half your life, whatever. Cause they would get up at like 5 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, you pass out on the couch at 6. So I don't know what, like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
dude, I feel you so fucking much, because the thing is, right, I played Division I baseball up until obviously last year, and so I was on the student athlete thing for a minute. So every summer, obviously, I'd save up money at work, and so I could do it at school. And so one summer, I'm like, let me do the full time thing. I'll do the 40-hour work week, 50-hour work week thing. Fuck it, save some money. I did that for like a month, and I'm like, people did this for their whole fucking life. I don't like that. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fucking fan. You're telling me I get 2 days a week, and if I had kids, I get no days a week. That's bullshit. I don't like that at all. I don't like that. Made me not like me when I was a kid, because I can only imagine my parents coming home and me being like, I want to go to Toys R Us. I want to smack the shit out of myself. I'm like, no, God, no. I'm tired.
Yeah.
I get home, no one even bugs me, and I'm like, fucking, I'm irritated. You know what I mean? So
it's insane, because I feel like the level of restraint parents have to not resent their children. I don't have children, and I resent the idea of maybe accidentally one day having a child.
It's very true. So yes, I get you.
Sorry, I cut you off.
Sorry.
we all were like,
hold on. No, there's 3 polite people here. It can't work in this space. Someone needs to bulldoze completely. Oh gosh, no, I feel you so much, because the thing is, I just did a video about this. I always wanted kids until I got out the gym, right? And mind you, my gym is connected to a mall, right? Like I think it's like a Dave and Buster's next to the gym. Fucking random. I don't know why. I was like, okay, someone gets out of the gym and they're like, I want mozzarella sticks and skee ball. The fuck's that anyway? But I walk out.
Or you're just drunk and you go to the wrong one.
You get what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
These games are bullshit. That's a bench press. Get out of there. No, so the deal was, right, I'm walking out the gym. I'm like, all right, like I'm winding down. I see this young lady and her daughter, right? Sorry, son, I apologize. Young lady and her son. They're walking past me. Now they're talking about David. They're walking into Dave and Buster's, and now in the son, he's a tiny kid, but he looks like he knows about everything already. I'm like, oh, he doesn't need fucking school, right?
Right.
Now, and the mom was like, okay, so we're going into this Dave and Buster's. I don't want to hear any back talk from you. Just sit down and eat your food. And then the kid was like, well, can I bring my phone into Dave and Buster's? And she's like, no. And then he said, why? And then I'm kind of looking at her like, yo, why? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And, but the mom was like, because you're an adult, you're the kid, I'm an adult. I don't want you on your phone while we're eating food. I want you engaged in the conversation. Mm-hmm. Now the kid had said, you know what, Susan, right there, government, we're talking about government fucking names here. This kid knows what his mom's government name is at his age. I didn't know my parents' real names until I was fucking 18. I'm like, oh, nice to meet you, Chad. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, so this kid's like, well, Susan, she said, he said, well, Susan, because of COVID, right, all the menus are electronic. He's like, so I would need my phone to look at the menu unless you all want to share one phone. And there's just silence. And this woman looks at me and I'm looking at her like, what do you want me to do? He's fucking right. Like, and then I get in my car and I'm like, why the fuck do I want kids? If a kid did that to me, it's over with. I can't be his parent anymore. He knows more.
Yeah.
Are you sure it was a kid and not just a smart midget?
I had to check. I had to double check. I'm like, let me see the knees. No, those are still growing knees. We're good. So that's shit fucking set. I'm like, dude, maybe I'm not built to be a parent. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's how.
Do you know how responsible that is, though? That's another thing that goes overlooked for our generation too, is that it's responsible to go, you know what? I'm not capable of doing that. I don't. And instead, it's flipped for some reason.
And you want to say it's responsible and it's honestly very considerate to your unborn child to not have a child in this time period.
Yeah.
Like, if I was a kid that got born, I'm like, this is bullshit. I don't even know if I'll be here in my 20s. Literally, the future is a question mark. Mm-hmm. It really is. It's the saddest, but it's almost the funniest thing ever. But it's also the saddest thing ever that I have no clue what's happening 20 years from now. I have no idea.
Oh yeah, no, we're toast. But the thing is too is like, exactly. I'll fill you in. We're done.
We're done. It's over. Right.
Not to get too technical about it. But it is kind of funny, like the whole, like, I mean, I always think the same thing where I'm like, the only, like, inclement weather and children are for the rich. Those are the only two things. Like the Absolutely. Rich, like if you're rich and you got kids, you don't have to worry about them. They're provided for. They're taken care of. They got that whole whatever it is when they fucking die. They get the money. And snow days.
They get all the money.
They get the money. Yeah. And snow days are nothing to the rich. I mean, you know what I mean? Like they can miss days of work. It's like a, you know, you're just an eternal kid when there's snow on the ground. You don't have fucking Sears calling you like, we need a manager here. I'm like, why? Why, Judy? Why do you need a manager there?
Why, Susan?
Yeah, why?
Really? Yeah, exactly. Why, Susan?
Like,
she's already getting corrected way too much this week. You're right. Why, fucking Susan?
Yeah. I'm like, who the fuck needs a dryer during a blizzard?
Right? Nobody. Fucking no one. They should be worrying about surviving. Exactly.
Yeah,
like, hey, why aren't you here right now? Sorry, I don't have a fucking snow shovel. I didn't know I needed one, right?
Dude, I remember this is like when I used to live in an apartment in Bricktown, New Jersey, and it was a fucking one of the worst. It's when we used to have. Remember when we had snow? It was when we used to have the colder states used to have, right, and not tornadoes, which is fucking weird. So we used to have a shit ton of snow. It was like this huge, massive blizzard. I'm talking like up to the top of the car. Couldn't see the cars. So we're like, no one's going fucking anywhere today, right? And I'm still doing stand-up, and I'm still working part-time too. And my girlfriend at the time worked at New York and Company, and my roommate at the time worked at Old Navy in the mall. And they were getting phone calls on the hour, every fucking hour. Where are you? And because they were both managers, and they were like, where are you? You need to come in. You know, the mall is open, yada, yada. And it got to the point where I snapped, and I still to this day wonder if I should have done what I did because it was just none of my business. But I called the manager of the entire mall.
As you should.
Yeah.
As you fucking should. That's
and
the only thing to do. Go ahead,
I was like, what the fuck are you
Mhm.
still doing open? I'm like, do you have
Oh,
any idea? Like, I never said their names, but I was like, my fucking girlfriend is getting caught, like, yada, yada, yada. And the guy was just like, well, you have to understand that the people who own these stores don't live in the state. And I'm like, well, tell them to turn on the fucking TV because it's snowing in New Jersey. Boom.
Bags! Get the fuck out of here. Yeah.
I just remember my roommate, like, just like looking at me like, holy shit, are you all right? And I was like, no, I'm not.
What about that interaction makes you think I'm okay?
Exactly. I just fucking snapped. Oh God, yeah, I love that, man. I like that you had that concept of like 40 hours a week is not. It's funny. I remember when I was a kid in like elementary, whenever Space Jam came out, which is always good to reference the first one. But Michael Jordan did like it was like everything was like Michael Jordan. They were doing like an interview. I think I was in like the 6th grade, and I read this article that he was being interviewed, and he was basically just like, yeah, when I was a kid. Somebody, I'd seen everybody else working 9 to 5s, and I thought, yeah, that's not for me. And that was the first time I was like, I mean, obviously he's wildly talented, but I also was just like,
He's okay. Yeah, no, I get you.
yeah, right. You know what I mean? But I was also just like, wow, I didn't know you could literally just dismiss that at the age of 6.
No. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. You want to know what? Want to know what? I'm not gonna lie. I'm so sorry. Side note on. I'm so sorry. I had to say this publicly. Michael Jordan is a dick. Now hear me out,
Yes.
right? Hear me
100%.
out. Hear
Go
me
ahead.
out, right? Now, mind you, obviously in the sports world, yeah, we love that shit. Yeah, be a
Right.
douche. Like in regular human people fucking life, regular world, this douchebag. And the thing I heard, I watched this on like my Instagram thing. It was him and Charles Barkley. By the way, don't like that. I mean, if I ever meet Charles Barkley, I'm gonna completely lie to you. I'm gonna say I love you anyway. But here's the deal, right? So Charles Barkley and Michael Jordan sitting side by side, and then Charles Barkley saw this homeless man asking for money, so he's going to give the homeless man money, and Michael Jordan slapped Charles Barkley's hand, and he said, if he has enough time to say, can I please borrow some money, he has enough time to say, welcome to McDonald's, may I take your order? And I'm like, hey, fuck you, give the guy some money, maybe, I don't know. Like, if
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like obviously, clearly, yeah, like, of course you could probably, also, no, actually, time out, side note. I had a good education. I'd like to think I had a good education. I had a roof over my head. It's still tough to find a job, so I can't imagine being homeless.
Yeah.
Trying to just walk in like, y'all hiring? They didn't hire me because of my beard, so I don't know what the deal is with all that. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, that was just my little rant about that.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right though. He is an absolute piece of shit, and I've seen the same thing. That's the craziest shit to me is that like when he said, oh, I don't want to work in 95. That's not for me or whatever. He meant literally just for him. Like
that's not for me either.
Like he wasn't talking to the public like, hey, you have choices. He was like, I'm too good. I don't
You're
wanna...
like me. Michael Jeffrey Jordan will never clock in and out. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that at all.
Wait, is his middle name Jeffrey?
Yes, it is. His name is Michael Jeffrey Jordan. Yes.
I had no idea.
I'm not going to burn my Michael Jordan bridge because we might have him as a guest, but I heard he's a very bad tipper.
Yes.
That's what I have heard. Yeah.
Oh my God.
He gambles like a maniac, but he doesn't tip the dealers. And I think
crazy.
That's wrong.
I mean, I know it's such fucking horseshit that people like that do not want to give any of their money away. Like, what are you gonna fucking do with it? What is it gonna wind up at a certain? Like it blows me away that people have. I wouldn't. Honestly, I think there's like. I think they let you be billionaires or a million or whatever it is. You know what I mean? Even if you have like $100 million. There's some system that I don't understand. I'm not a big conspiracy theory guy, but I feel like I really not. But I just a heads up because I know whenever I start to talk about this shit, I know it just sounds crazy.
No,
also,
dude, lay it on me, please.
Right? But I feel like if you accidentally wind up with a shit ton of money, even the billion, even like a little less than $1 billion or whatever, I think people come to your fucking door and they're like, here's what you can do and here's what you fucking can't do in this money club you're in now, right? And then I feel like because I'm like, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you just fucking help?
Be frivolous with everybody in need because you have it. If you people, I'm so sorry. People who don't have the money do the math for the billionaires every day. They're like, you can give $3 to everybody in the world, actually. Like, they do the math for you. It's not that fucking hard. I got $1 billion and there's 2 million people here. I can give some people some money right now. Like that. Yep. So I hear what you're saying. Yes.
Yeah.
I don't even think it's just a money thing. I think it's a power thing. You ever see that Dave Chappelle? I saw Dave Chappelle talking, and he's like, you don't under. It was at the Comedy Cellar. He's like, you don't understand the level of fame I was at. He was
Mhm.
like, I could say I want to have sex in the giraffe enclosure in the Bronx Zoo, and the next day they would shut down a portion of the Bronx Zoo, and I could have sex in the giraffe enclosure. He's like,
Wow.
you people do not understand that level of power. Jordan is not that far away. He's got 5 million followers. Let him get a few million more, and that San Diego Zoo is getting shut down in the panda area.
I was about to say, Dave Chappelle speaking hypothetically, I will literally. So you're right. I don't know if I maybe should.
Jordan's like, I have a very specific giraffe kink. Just telling you right now.
I have a specific draft. No, no, dude, no, and you're absolutely right. I really think it is. It's a sense of power. It's a sense of having something over someone or feeling a sense of importance or whatever the case may be. Because I'm not kidding. This happened very recently. It's funny. It's so funny. The things that I say, the majority of the time, they are very much true. And people don't believe those ones. I'm like, okay, those are ones. Okay, so there's a guy came into the store, right? Has like a satchel on, right? Dude's dressed like really weird. He has like weird looking gloves on, some rings and stuff. But he has like a bunch. And he had a hat on. He's ordering 2 slices of pizza. I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever. It's $7.47. Like, here you go, $7, right? That's all it is. He opens his bag. It's like a satchel. I just see so much money in it. I was like, what the fuck? It's all hundreds. There was all hundreds. There was no ones. Then this douchebag opens it up, shows all the hundreds and goes, oh, wait. And goes to his other pocket and pulls out a $10 bill. I'm like, what? Now you knew you had the $10 bill in your fucking pocket. Right. So give me the 10. I do the change, whatever. He comes back for more pizza. And I'm like, hey, man, I'm just curious. You don't have to answer this question. You really don't. How much money is in that satchel? For real. He said, this man said $30,000. I'm like, okay, get out. I don't want to serve you anymore. I'm not going to lie to you. You have $30,000 and you're getting 2 slices of pizza and you did not tip it. Please leave. I don't want to talk to you. But
I would have been like, are you ready to get robbed by a TikTok star?
Do you feel what I'm saying? I'm like, I'm going to give you the best story you've heard all day. Give me the goddamn bag right now.
Literally
give me the bag. No, dude, it's honestly insane. But mind you, there's a flip to that, right? So again, I don't want to share too much, but I think this is so fun. Are you guys familiar with Jason Love?
Yeah, know the name, yes.
Okay, so he's a very sweet man. He gave me like the best advice ever, right? Relatively, he's relatively well off. He doesn't have to work another day in his life if he doesn't want to, I'm assuming.
Right.
Dude, he's like the first person of fame that has reached out to me and really gave me advice about this whole, social media game or whatever it is, right?
Nice.
Yeah. But again, mind you, the only thing is, I think when you're rich, you really do kind of lose a sense of like, oh, that is very attainable money for someone of my, and it's not, because he's talking to me about like management, agencies, stuff like that, because I'm not used to that and I'm starting to hear about it. And he's like, if they want that percentage, it's all good. If they make you about 100, he's like, what do you say? Make you like 100K in the month, that's fine. I'm like, I'm sorry, that's not. I don't think that's what the tax bracket. I don't think $100,000 in a month is what we're talking about here. I'm talking like maybe 500. I don't know. But it's awesome because he really is relatable. But I was like, man, these numbers he's telling me, I'm just like, yeah. I never had to say these numbers with my words before ever. So
you're
but that just shows a distinction.
Jordan, before you know it, you're going to be going into a pizza store. You'll be like, how much are these 2 slices? Let me open my satchel.
I swear to God, I'm talking all this shit. I'm gonna have a satchel, and I'm gonna forget what the fuck a $5 bill looks like. I'll be like, oh, that's so cute. Or those decorations? Oh, that's currency. Oh shit, right?
You're like, I can make a paper airplane out of it. It's something I like to do for the kids.
Get a kick out of it.
Yeah, it is weird, man. I've talked to people who are like that too, who have what's weirder is when they like he was talking to you as if you know it, understand it, have lived it, where I've gone out, like whenever I've had like these network meetings for pitching shows or whatever, and I had to go out with these executives and stuff like that, always the worst, like it's the worst best thing, because one, you're not paying for any of the food, which is fucking great.
That's
because it's like they know you're poor.
Yes.
They don't, So, but what's weird is like they talk to you about their life. And it's just, I remember being out with this one dude from a huge agency or whatever. He was taking me out to dinner. We were having, talking about some projects or whatever. And he was talking about moving. And at the time, I was living on an air mattress and a box in
Love
the backyard of somebody's fucking house with no air
that.
conditioning, whatever. So he's like, yeah, you know, we had the move. We were deciding whether to have the movers come. And then my wife didn't like the kitchen and we knocked it down, but renovate. And he's talking like numbers and money. And I'm just like, in my head, I'm going, I'm dumb. I'm just dumb. And I don't understand the money he's talking about. And I don't understand the options he has. And like, I'm never gonna, and you walk away like, I'm never gonna have that. I don't understand it.
Yeah.
Like, it's such a weird, like, it is weird. And I hope to God, like, never to become detached like that. But I also think by saying that, I also mean I hope to never have money. So I don't know which one I want.
That's so fair. That's so
like,
fair.
Detachment, money. Yeah, it is weird. I was talking to this one dude earlier who was like, we were kind of grazing over some politics. He's like a fan of the show or whatever, but he was talking about to me like in the DMs or whatever. Apparently he's not for any minimum wage. Doesn't want anybody to have minimum wage. And I'm immediately like, absolutely not. We do need a minimum wage. We need a high minimum wage, like yada, yada. And that's just, and we were having a friendly conversation, but I hopefully got through to him because I always use this analogy because for some reason, the older generation seem to think that everyone's lazy and they don't want to work. And I'm like, wrong. We want value for what we do and we want to be able to live. No one in our age bracket can afford a 1-bedroom apartment working 2 part-time jobs. It's impossible. No. And that's criminal. So I'm just like, so I always try to explain it this way too. And I don't know if you ever heard this, but like cats back, remember, like, I don't know if you remember if you weren't around in the 1800s, but you know, when they remember way back. So they used to have cats on ships to catch mice. Right. And that was like a thing. But in the beginning, they didn't feed the cats because they figured if they were starving, they would have the impetus to go chase these mice. Right. And then they found out that the cats fucking did jack shit because they were tired. They were lethargic. So then that was the kind of invention of cat food at the time because then they fed them and the cats hunted. So my whole analogy the whole time is like, if you give people what they need to do the job well, they want to work. Cats wanted to hunt. They always wanted to hunt the mice. Didn't matter if you fed them or not. But if you treat them well, they'll do the job. I feel the same way about people. I think people want to work. I think they just want to have value in what they do and have some kind of meaning in it. And you know, if they're gonna work a job they fucking hate and get no money for it, you're gonna get a garbage sandwich at the end of the day or whatever the fuck. You know,
maybe this guy just wanted to produce the iPhones here. I get it. No minimum wage. We get that to 99 cents. We can start making iPhones.
We just need an iPhone factory in the U.S. That's all we need. You know,
dude, you're right. I love that analogy so much because I am absolutely that. I'm the lethargic cat at my job. I swear to you, dude, I've learned over the years. I'm like, I'm getting paid the bare minimum. I'm going to do the bare minimum.
Yeah,
dude. I swear to you, when I like 18 out the gate, actually with Texas 60, but 18 out the gate, got a job, like a legitimate one, boom, 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 I'm out the gate, I'm doing everything, I'll cover all these shit, da. And then by like 21, I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, what am I doing here? I'm trying to be Superman at my job for what?
Right.
They can and will replace me like that. One was funny. It really was was cold water to the face, right? When I think I'm covering shifts. I'm working my butt off. I'm doing what I can, not only just for the payment, because I really want the store to do well. And then I asked for a day off, like an extra day off. I asked for 1 extra day off because I needed it. It was a family thing. I really wanted to go. It wasn't an emergency. I just really wanted to go. It was something I'm like, oh, I've been working real hard. Maybe they'll let me do it. Dude, the guilt trip, the this, the that, the damn near threatening to cut the hours. And I'm like, oh, this is a machine. So what the fuck am I doing? So at that point, every job I got, I was honest in the interviews. I'm like, look, I want to work these specific hours. I do not want to do this. I do not want to be a manager. And then I don't want to be a manager because I don't want triple the responsibility for $1 more. I'm not doing that.
Right.
I refuse to do that. And then with the people, even with the shift covering, I'm honest with people. Don't ask me because I'm not going to do it. I love you. You hit me up, I'm going to be like, hey, no. I will respond quickly so that you can ask someone else. But I'm saying no. That's just because I've learned that if I don't want to do it, I'm not going to do it. I can't, because for my own mental health, I was running on fumes trying to do this whole work thing like that, to where I'm like, okay, how about this? Instead of full time, I do like So instead of 40 hours, I do about 30 hours, right? And the 30 hours,
Right.
it works out for me because, believe it or not, that extra 10 plus helps. It gives me a little extra sleep. It gives me more time to think. It gives me more time to feel like a human.
Absolutely.
And you're right. I really think something has to change because, dude, like the amount of because on TikTok you can go live and stuff, right? So you go live
sure.
and you'll talk to people and they'll engage with you. And every time I go live, everybody is so awesome. And I'll tell them about my job frustrations, and they'll be like, "Well, you have 2 degrees. Why don't you use it towards that?" I'm like, "Well, that's the thing. With college, degrees are." Honestly, they're only as good as how far you take them, right? Masters, doctorates, programs to where you can work yourself into there.
Right.
It's not like you get your degree and you're like, oh, right, I got all these jobs lined up. I tell you what, I got my degrees. You would have thought they were Charmin fucking Ultra Wipes. You would have thought these things were literally disposable fucking toilet papers. They're like, I'm like, I have my degree. They're like, that's great. Why did you tell me? Then they're like,
Yeah.
I have my degree. They're like, that's cool. Can you work Saturdays? Like, so. That's my little rant.
But
it is crazy because all these structures are it's weird. It's hard because I feel like there's people, I have friends the same way. They're just like us who are like, they're aware of all this kind of shit, which is almost like a burden in and of itself. Because I know I have plenty of friends who kind of coast through life, and I don't know whether it's an imposed fantasy that they give themselves, which, don't want to burst anybody's bubble. So let them do their fucking shit or whatever.
Of course.
But it is kind of weird when you're like, when you can see everything, we're like, everything is designed to keep you in a certain spot, wherever it is, whatever poverty level it is. So even if you do wind up going to college, like, you're right, they have the degrees that you have, but you have to keep going. And the more you go, the more you put yourself in debt, which keeps you which gives you a good job probably, but also keeps you locked in a class that you have to stay in financially, unless you can by some miracle get out of it. And then the rest of the time, in order, if you want to do anything like you and I are doing with TikTok, or like I'm doing stand-up, whatever, to break out of it, they're like, you can do that, but we're not going to give you fucking healthcare. You're not going to have any plan to get out of this. Like, you're not going to have anything when you retire. If you're not going to get to retire, like, there's just all this shit in place to fucking weigh you down constantly. And the fact that nobody sees it or gets it half the time, or maybe they get to shut off, put the horse blinders on, like in Central Park, and just kind of walk with tunnel vision, fucking wrecks me, man. Like I remember you had your cold water moment. Like, I had the same kind of thing where when I was in high school, I worked at a bookstore all 4 years in Walden Books. I don't know if you remember that existed, but it closed down. But I worked there, and everybody there got along really well. I was young when I started, and then also I wasn't like old when I left either, but I was young when I started.
You tell yourself that.
Yeah, I was a hard 48 by the time I left.
Oh god, hard 48. I love that.
But like, yeah, so like from basically the senior year, I worked in the store, and when my senior year came around, for whatever reason, the store just wasn't doing well. But the craziest thing was, they didn't want it to be a bookstore anymore. So corporate from some other state who had never been there came in out of the blue and was like, well, we're going to sell a rack of DVDs. And it's like, well, that's fucking dumb, because we're right next to a goddamn Suncoast. So that seems a little weird to sell movies while there's a movie store, but okay. And then I just kind of saw the structure fall apart, where like, I was very good behind the counter, and people kind of left me alone because we had these membership cards. And because I was kind of gregarious, friendly, or whatever, people would just buy the cards. Like, by the end of the thing, I had a whole thing worked out. So I kept the store at number one doing that. And we had fun. And then there was another guy who was really good at history shit, knew every history book, read the whole thing. That was his section. We had another woman that was amazing with like fiction and fantasy. Another guy who loved entertainment, yada, yada, yada. That store flowed perfectly. And then corporate came in and immediately just started firing people. And I was like, they'd been there longer than I was. They were older. I was the youngest person that worked there. But I was like, okay, so none of this matters. You can be really good at your job. You can have customers coming in specifically looking for you because they trust you to give them advice. You could have this perfectly run thing, but if they believe you are not you're not following their rules, you're done. And I watched people get fired on the spot. And then after that, I was kind of like, okay, new game plan here. I'm not doing this shit. And then after that, every other job I had, I was like, it helped. I think it helped me because I didn't take anything too seriously. And, and the same way with you, the next job I had when I was, then I started doing stand-up and a part-time job at a library. And it would be the same situation where every quarter, I think the management position would open, you could apply. And they would get pissed when I wouldn't apply. And they'd be like, why aren't you doing that? And I'd be the same thing. And I'd be like, well, first of all, let me get you a mirror so you could look at you.
Exactly.
Because you don't look good.
No, don't look good. Don't look
this,
happy.
This job has crushed your spirit. And I liked to just, I like to just go in, do what I had to do and fucking leave. And they had this rule where everybody had to work a Sunday. And I was like, the fuck I am. Like that's, and it'd be hilarious because they would call me and I would look at my phone and hit ignore. And then I would go into work on Monday and they'd be like, hey, we tried to get you to come in on Sunday. I'm like, I know, that was close. I almost picked up.
You almost got me. You're switching up the times now.
Yeah. And I was like, that was a close call. And they would be enraged by the whole thing. And I'm like, you don't get it, do you? I'm not doing any of that.
No.
And they get pissed.
No, of course. And you're right. And the beautiful part about that is you're right. Just as much as they can be like, all right, fuck it, you're gone, you're gone. Sometimes if a store is desperate enough, they can't do that. So when you're like, I'm not doing that shit, you're like, fuck, okay, well, sorry, we still got to keep you, right? And what are they going to do? Passive aggressive, this, that, do that shit all fucking day.
Oh, dude,
job.
it was so. We had five.
Job.
Yeah, exactly. We had 5 different managers at this place, and they sat behind a glass thing at the library. This is a library, by the way. I only got a job there because I was like, great, I'll have off on the weekends, and I can work 4 days a week and just fuck around the rest of the time when I, do whatever I want to do. And then, and it was not like, it was so politically driven. It was like the older people that worked there were broken spirits who used to have regular jobs, who also thought this was going to be a quiet kind of thing. And they were like, they treated them like they were garbage. And it was insane to me. And I was the only one who ever said anything because I don't know. I liked kind of fucking around and they hated it because they couldn't get rid of me because when you work for, I think you were a civil servant. So they couldn't technically fire you. They had to make a paper trail. Well, good luck because I like to fuck her. Like, I was like, that's not going to work. I fought dude. I was like, I've got the time and I just, I don't care. And we had like some managers that were kind of cool and some that weren't who like micromanaged. And I just used to do shit like one of them would stand at the desk and the phone would ring and I'd be across the way and they'd be like, John, you want to get the phone? And I'd be like, Arlene, you're standing right next to it. It's just 5 fingers, thumb, grab it, answer the phone, and eventually I would get it, but I wouldn't do it without acknowledging that she was a lazy piece of shit.
Right, look how ridiculous you're asking me to do some shit you could do right now. For what
exactly.
Reason, right? Yeah,
we're all a team here, Arlene. Come on,
we're a team.
Susan.
Susan, come on, Sue.
Susan, just like you said in the orientation videos, we're a team. All right.
Yeah. Oh, dude, there was one like I would do like I got written up for dumb shit where like we had a lab like a computer lab where people were going, and for whatever reason that was the place for older Jewish men to go to look at porn. That's just what they would do.
Of course, because they need a space for that. Absolutely, I hear you.
Exactly. So there was and there was also dudes like older white dudes who would use that space to gamble. Beautiful. So, you're back in the corner, I'm watching it, whatever. And one time there was like a literal like fight. Like, I'm not kidding. A guy came in and was like, you owe me fucking money. And these are grown men, by the way. I'm like 22 and they were like, like in their 50s, like fist fighting. And I'm in the back and it's me and open windows on the 3rd floor. So I'm just like, it's nowhere for me to go. So I call security. And of course, security in the library is old as fucking shit. So they're taking their sweet ass time coming upstairs. And then one of the like librarians who like has a degree, stumbles over or whatever and fixes it, whatever, settles something up. And I'm like, hey, just a heads up, this guy is like taking money from the kids that go up here to gamble for them. That's how this whole thing started. And she goes, we know, we've been documenting it, we have a binder. And I went, well, look, I love scrapbooking too, but I think you guys should really try to. And that literal line, I remember I have it framed somewhere, like got written up where like John said he loved scrapbooking. And I was like, that's fucking hilarious, by the way. So I'm proud of that line.
That's beautiful. As you should be so fucking proud of that line. The fact that stung them. They're like, oh, fuck you.
Yeah,
we scrapbook very well, actually. Like they're fucking I love that. Good for you.
So it was just brutal.
I have a question. So now you beat this algorithm, right? Like you are legitimately TikTok famous. Like you're making your mark. So now do you think it's long before you start to break away from being in a regular day job? And do you concentrate? Like, does this take you X amount of hours while you're making your videos, or is it more natural to you?
So, and I really appreciate the question because that's something I ask myself daily. I'm like, you know what? Am I gonna be able to stop doing this, like work wise. Well, and here's the deal. I'm gonna let you guys in. I mean, again, I'm probably familiar with TikTok, but there's people on the app who have significant followings, which is really good. And it's always, you're right. It's a blessing. It's great. It's a very good opportunity, I'd like to say, right? Because I feel like with that following, it's not that you're necessarily famous, I guess, but it's more of like you have more of an opportunity to tell your stories, to tell your things, and people, if they enjoy them, they keep watching, which is great. There are people that do this full time. They quit their jobs and they do this full time, and they'll do merch, or they'll do this, or they'll do the creator fund, or whatever they can, and and sometimes the shit can get lucrative. They can really get lucrative. Sometimes it can't, but for me, I'm like, that's too much of a gamble per se. For me, I was like, as much as I don't like working, I really don't. But at the end of the day, the way I saw it, I'm like, look, it doesn't matter if I'm funny one day or if I'm just not funny at all. I get a paycheck every other week, and that's something that unfortunately, due to life, capitalism, I don't know, you need money to do things. So I'm like, okay, I got to keep that going. And for TikTok, I don't do the creator fund because I guess I didn't qualify, which is hilarious. I thought it was
really
wow.
Yeah. It was because I did stitches, and I guess stitches don't count. And then I tried to do it, and then they're like, oh, and I did now I'm doing videos without stitches, and it's still not necessarily qualifying me. So I'm like, okay, whatever. So I'm really, and this is I'm not really making much from that. So because of that, I'm like, I love making the videos. I love making people laugh. If they like it or not. Honestly, I like making people mad if it makes them mad. I'm like, hey, it's something for you. But but I can't. But I do hope, and I keep working, and I do my best to network as much as I can to hopefully one day be able to maybe have an opportunity I can make some money to where I don't have to work as much, and maybe we don't work at all at this place, and focus a whole lot more on just the videos. And to answer the second question, how long it takes me to do the videos, life is so hectic. I'm not gonna lie to you, they don't take long at all. It will be like, oh shit, this happened at work. I'm gonna remember this. I get home, I run in this fucking bathroom. I'm like, do you guys get this shit? And it takes maybe 2 takes, because I'm like, fuck, and I'm like, I can't don't say fuck. And you know what I'm saying? But that's about it.
Yeah.
To where, I mean, and that's honestly, it's funny. It's a yin and yang. It's been helping me a lot because it's like, look, this isn't necessarily even really like material I'm writing per se. It's literally it's just what's going on,
right?
And I'm just explaining it in a way that I really feel. That franticness is what I feel most of the time, right?
That comes through, man, because it feels like that's authentic to you and kind of who you are. Even just listening to you talk now, it's great because it's like, oh, I can kind of see where this whole thing comes from. Do you remember the first one you did like that?
Oh, dude. Yeah. So again, I did TikTok because my brother was TikTok famous before I was.
Oh shit.
Yeah, and I made TikTok to mock him because I'm a terrible fucking sibling. And I was making the TikTok videos, and at first I was like, I didn't think much of it, and then I started doing TikToks, and I'm like, well, I want to see if I can actually get relatively famous off of this. So I was trying to do it, and nothing was working. And then I remember I was on my way to go see, at that time, my girlfriend. I was on my way to go see her, and I'm like, you know what? I saw this video of this guy shaving his face, and he shaved the razor over his lip like a few times.
Oh,
and in my head, I'm like, how the fuck did you not die? Literally. And so I went into my bathroom with my cat in my hand, and I'm like, how the fuck did you not die? I'm like, if I could call the police, I'd do it right now. Are you a fucking demigod? I'm freaking out about this. And I'm like, that was stupid. But I posted it, and I remember telling my mom. My mom was like, you're done with the videos? I think it was 15 seconds. I'm like, yeah, I'm done with it. I'm like, I'll get over to my to my at the time girlfriend's house, and I'll delete it. And then I get down there, and it had 600,000 views by the time I got down there. And I was like, well, wow. And then that was like my first real taste of like, oh, wow. Because it's an abundance of people like, fucking, what? And so after that, I did the second video that I went off was this kid who said, I can't wait for, was it? Oh, God, what was it? Your honeymoon is going to be amazing. The Y is silent. And dude, that fucked my brain because I'm like, honeymoon. Hone moon? I'm like, what the fuck is hone moon? And so, and mid video, I call my professor because at the time we were pretty close. He was a previous professor. I'm like, hey, do you get this shit? And he's like, Jordan, holy fuck, dude. He's like, it's the Y in your is silent. It'd be our honeymoon. And then I went back, I'm like, apparently it's our honeymoon. And that shit, that I think that was a video. Again, I did that video. I took a shower. I went out to the gym. By the time I got to the gym, it had 1 million views. I'm like, fuck.
Wow.
And then, so it was a few phases of just me being amazed by some stuff, me looking like a fucking idiot. And then the one that had caught fire to where I'm like, oh, people like this was I started reacting to just insane shit, and I was actually baffled by it. And people just loved the franticness. And I'm like, well, okay, I could do this because this is just me. So I would just do the franticness. And then eventually it bled into, let me tell you about my work day. And then it just went into that. And now it carried on from there.
Yeah, the workday style. That's when I first found you. It was you reacting to other people's videos, and I fucking love that shit because it was just like you were in everybody's brain, and that's the best kind of comedy. It's the best kind of video stuff, entertainment shit. Is when you can just watch somebody else and they're speaking for you, and you're just like, oh, this is great. This is exactly what I was thinking.
It's like, oh yeah. No, I feel you. I just did a video. I'm not kidding. Probably about an hour before we hopped on the call, because I was like, did anyone else go through this? Because I feel like it was just me. I'm like, did your parents have like adult drinks like laying around the house, right? But you're a child, right? You're a little person, and you're like, oh, you thought it was your drink because you're like, oh, this has to be my drink. And so you had your first taste of alcohol as a tiny person. For me, I was like, I love fruit punch. I said, I love fruit punch. My mom loved wine, and we had matching schedules. So what happened was she poured a cup of wine in the same blue cup that I always put my fruit punch in. And so I took a big old sip, and I take that shit out. I was like, the fuck happened to my fucking fruit punch? And I'm looking around, I'm like, oh, and I'm like, this is wine. And in the video, I was like, at first I'm like, this is disgusting. And then after I'm like, actually, I get it. Maybe I need a personal day as a child. Maybe I need to take some time for myself and have a me day. Cause fuck, man. I'm like, look, I'm not a big fan of wine, but I get why people do it now. Like, what I mean? So, and that was just something I'm like, oh, does anyone else relate to this? And people tend to relate to it. It's so nice to see that we share similar lives. It's really cool.
Yeah, it is. And I remember somebody when I was talking to about that exact thing with another guest. I don't even remember who it was, Tom, just about your first drink was because your parents had left a glass out. And I had apple juice when I was a kid, and my grandfather always had like scotch. And that was it. And like a moron. I mean, and it was like, and it was high up at the time, but everybody was talking and socializing. And I grabbed a fucking chair like a moron. I was like, why would they put my apple juice up there? And I climbed the chair, and there was just like, and then just like heaving, choking, and everyone thought it was hysterical, and I thought I was gonna die. And
it would have been a little more alarming if that went down smooth, and you're like, "This is right. That makes sense."
All of a sudden, I have a cigarette, English accent, and it's like, the most interesting baby in the world.
All right, a true Kingsman, you are. Yes.
Yeah, I think it was like over the pandemic. I had one video. It's almost at 1 million views, which is like a shame. Or a sham, basically, for any actual TikTok person. But it's like, huge. But it was so weird, dude, because it was like I posted a clip. I did a gig right before the pandemic shut down in Michigan, not to brag. And I was, but there's no, but it was, there were like a few tables of Trump supporters there, and I just did my usual Trump stuff at the end. I'm doing like an hour set. And gets to like the last 15 minutes, and I get into the Trump stuff. I literally mention his name. And of course, it's like right before Corona hits, and also like his party's basically bleeding out because they know he's losing. You know what I mean? That he's unhinged at this point.
Before all that shit,
yeah. So I literally just mentioned his name, and these tables are like USA, like not even like genuine heckling me, but just like fucking chanting Trump. So I just went back at them. And then it was great. I went back at them. I won the audience back. I told them to, do whatever. I think a couple of them got booted and stuff. And then I just posted it on TikTok because I was like, fuck it. Everybody else is posting shit. And it fucking blew up. And it was like, and I just let people argue. Like they were like, people were going back and forth and the whole thing. And I was just like, it's fine by me. But then after that, it was like couple of them got like 200K or whatever, 100K. It was like election stuff. And then I just lost I don't know, I didn't post every day. You know, I don't know what happened, and then it like trickles out, like it phased out. But it was like, it's interesting the way something shoots up and then, you know, dies. And I'm like, do they want the same shit? Do they not want the same stuff? I just don't know.
It's literally a focus group. It's crazy because what happens is it's kind of like it's a touch and go. It's like you're in the dark and you're trying to find something because you're like, okay, it's
Right.
not okay. This is a counter, so the bed has to be closer. So in regards to like you post something, it goes crazy. You're like, okay,
Right.
well maybe you like this part of it. You post a video with more of that, and they're like, oh, okay, you don't like that. Let me do this instead. Okay, y'all like this. And in regards to like you said, the inconsistency, right? Like the posting everyday shit, because people have lives. You're not going to be able to post every single day unless you actively are like, I gotta post every single day, right? And depending on what you do, it's just not realistic. Because some people are very talented on the app, but the shit that they do, it doesn't take a day to do. It takes time and processing.
Yes, yeah.
You know what I mean? It takes more, like the thing, your stand-up stuff, it takes time to edit that. It takes time to do the stand-up. It takes time to get the film back. It takes time to post it. So it's not like you can just do the shit every single day. It's hard.
Yeah. And the ratio of that kind of shit is so bizarre too, because you're like, now the fucking icons and the thing and the text got fucked up. One time, dude, I think one of the videos that I had literally, because like typing on that thing sometimes, I don't know why, it's not like typing on texting or Messenger or anything like that. It literally fucks up your spelling. And I did not, and I'm
on purpose,
going back, and I missed one, and I spelled something wrong. And it did catch a little fire, but people were like, hey, by the way, that's not how you spell. And I was like, fuck.
Dude, and then they light you up, and what it's a domino effect. They're like, you don't spell fucking your like that. Fucking. I'm like, well, fuck. Like, and you can't do anything about it. We're like,
exactly.
Dude. It's
heartbreaking.
I feel you, because that's the thing with TikTok. I think it's the biggest thing with, I hate saying this, but quote unquote creators, right? The thing is, like, it's literally a drug. It's a drug of like attention. You get this big wave of attention. Like, I want this a lot more. You might be scared of it at first, and then you really want it. Then you go, and then you might have a streak where you do 3-4 videos, boom, boom, all from 3 million, 4 million, 5 million. Or for me, there were 2 times where I had 2 videos go viral on all 4 platforms. So Snapchat, Twitter, Instagram, and then TikTok. And mind you, when that happens, you're the talk of the town at the time, right? I mean, in your world. I mean, the world. But right, you're getting messages from people you've never talked to before, girls you've never thought would talk to you. You get hit up by every single person, right? And you want that all over. You want that all the time. And what happens is that even it happens. You catch fire, and then it'll. And then you'll get like, oh, this is like not even a quarter of the views I got before. What's going on? I'm doing something wrong. Is this. And the thing that I've learned early on, I'm very happy I did, again, due to the people I'm with, I'm happy about it. But as long as you like your stuff you're doing, that's all that should really matter. So again, if I'm posting 3-4 videos that go crazy, and then for the next week, all my videos are doing, it's not good. If I like the videos, keep them. Don't worry about it. Because at the end of the day, right, it just takes one. It takes one video to put you wherever you need to go. And the funny part is, there's people who, for example, I'm a big fan of this guy. He's a rapper. His name's Westside Boogie. I like him a lot, right? I like rap. Shocker. But
no, I hear you.
But he's one of my favorite rappers, and I did a video where I'm like, good morning to everybody except for artists who release musical snippets. I don't like you. You know what I'm saying? Because they'll release like little, like, oh, my song sounds like this. It's not out yet. Oh, we're coming soon. And it never fucking gets released. And I'm like, hey, dude, I did this whole video about that. And it didn't do well. I mean, it did like 50,000 views, and that was kind of like the stopping point.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, kind of a dud, but it's fine. It works. Boogie saw it and then reposted it on his account. And it made my whole night. I'm like, this is crazy.
Nice.
Right. And then the video did not do as well as any of the other ones. But like I said, it just depends on who sees it at the right time, at the right place. So it's just a matter of, if you like your content, if you like the videos you're putting out, and you just don't ride this emotional roller coaster, be the same person throughout, it's easy. It makes it easier.
It's something I learned from like Twitter and Instagram, because I think my focus was Instagram. You know, it was Twitter for a little bit back in the day or whatever. And then I would focus more on Instagram and stuff like that because I just liked when you could post videos and stuff like that. And I built kind of a following, through that. And then, but I remember thinking the same thing where, I'd post stuff on Twitter back in the day and I would be like, maybe this just sucks. It doesn't seem to be getting any traction or whatever. And then I realized it was like, depending on who sees it and where it goes, because at one point I out of the blue, dude, this is like the weirdest shit. I tweeted something, I don't know how, but Cher saw it.
God bless. That's awesome. That's
right. So
cool.
she fucking retweets it. And
that's so fucking
I
cool.
mean, it just explodes. And I was just like, this is a fucking, like, this is bizarre as shit. But, and then I was like, maybe I don't suck, because it was doing nothing for the longest time. And then somehow it got to her. I have no idea how. And then that was it. And I was like, all right. So then I kind of had a little bit more perspective about the same thing where you're just like, it's just, it depends on who's following you. My favorite people are the ones who have like 2K on TikTok. I'll see every now and again, and who constantly have videos about how they're shadow banned. And I'm like, no one knows you.
Dude.
And I'm like,
I'm so sorry. Dude, they fucking shadow ban. The thing is, dude, at first, when you first do it, you feel attacked in a way because you're like, they have to be bullying me. Then you realize, oh, never mind, I'm not that person. But the thing is, with the shadow banning, and this is just my own genuine opinion. People will do well; they'll do so well with the videos. Then they won't do well. Then they'll make videos blaming TikTok, saying it's your fault, it's your fault, it's your fault, and then and then it goes real bad for a while. And in my opinion, that's kind of like you taking a test, not doing well on it, and talking shit to the person grading your test. And make you know what I'm saying, and now all of a sudden, oh fuck, I got more questions wrong. Never mind. Don't poke the bear if you don't have to. Right? Be happy you didn't get mauled to death. Essentially,
right?
You know what I'm saying? And it's very unfortunate, and kind of goes back to the question about TikTok full time or whatnot, or hopefully a different platform. But with a job, you're at mercy of course, the owners, the CEOs, and managers, whatever, right? But if you do the same job that they ask you to do every week, right, you're fine, right? It takes a lot for a whole company to shut down for you to leave. With TikTok, right, you're at mercy of whatever the person or the people or the group or the whatever is running the app that decides to do what they're going to do. You're at mercy of that every day. So you could be doing so well, and then all of a sudden it switches.
Yeah, well, look at Viners. I mean, that app disappeared, and some of them salvaged. Like, I know. Do you know Carly and Contro?
I don't think I'm familiar. I actually might, just from the face.
Okay. She used to be the girl with the pink hair.
Oh, pink hair. Okay.
Like, and then she used to work at Target, so she used to do Target videos on Vine all the time or whatever. She like went to move in LA at some point, but like she's one of those people. Like, her and her friend wound up salvaging it and moving straight over to YouTube and creating a thing. Yeah, because they had such high numbers that I think I don't know if they knew it was coming or they wound up switching. But there's some people that I remember like following where I'm like, where the fuck did they go? Like, what happened? They had like 50 million followers. Like, I have no idea what happened to them. And it's such a weird thing where like this one, like some guy in an office controls this one app that's like, fuck it, I'm deleting it.
You know what I'm saying? It just takes that one switch to where you're like, oh fuck, like, okay, life's different now. So the only thing, in my opinion, the thing that you can only hope for the most, that's why I say even with the following, it's great and all, but I feel like with that following, it's every single day is an opportunity to possibly, make another avenue for yourself to maybe make a little more money, be it the acting world, be it, just something, maybe even a job and occupation, right? Maybe you're like, hey, I've done the social media thing. It seems pretty well. Do you mind if I work on your media team for this or whatever? Maybe you do whatever, right? But that's at least how I see it. This is going to make me sound so not, like a big deal. The thing is, right? So for me, prior to doing the TikTok stuff, I'll keep this short. I promise. I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine.
It's all good.
But prior to doing the TikTok stuff, I did baseball. I played Division I baseball, and then I was supposed to get drafted, or I was planning on getting drafted, and then all that shit doing COVID happened, and it was just like, okay, cool, I guess not. So because of that, what I would do was I made this video called Dear Baseball, right, with my brother. My brother and my friend John, they're both insanely talented, and we made this little project, Dear Baseball. It was really, I had a fun time with it. And and I would email, I think like 200 or 300 people a day because on Instagram,
Wow.
right, there's a contact button on there that shows
Yes.
your email. And so, and in my head, I'm like, look, man, like if you didn't want the email on there, I'll let you know, hey, your email button's there, take it off. But because of that, I was emailing this product to freaking everyone. I'm like, okay, who's this famous person? Who does he follow? I'm emailing all of them, all of it. I was sending thousands out, and I was, lucky enough to, because of that, work with really a couple awesome people and get in contact with people I thought I would never ever talk to in my life, which is really cool. And it was just because of sheer persistence and being a fucking lunatic. But the thing was, when I got to TikTok, I'm like, oh, like okay, like I have a following now. I'm gonna keep emailing. I want to keep saying, hey, like I'm a TikToker. At the time I had 2 million. I had 2 million followers. You're looking for partners. You're looking for somebody to represent them. Maybe it's a sponsor. You're looking for somebody. I'd love to help out. And I was doing that. Nothing. Got to 3 million. Nothing. Got to 4 million. Nothing. Got to 5 million, which is now, and I'm still sending those emails out. And again, dude, it's more of like if you have the keys to open doors, you can get there. It doesn't matter how big you are. If you don't got those keys, you're not going to get in that door. So I think that's probably the next step, is trying to find out how I can get those keys to get into that door. Right.
I'm just going to toss this out there. Like all right. So I've been in business my whole, I haven't had a regular job in like 20 plus years.
Oh,
right.
Good for you. That's awesome.
God bless. I'm blessed. Like I chase my dream. Like I feel I'm all about that. Like I heard a quote that said, a salary is what you get paid to give up on your dreams. Right?
Holy shit, that's awesome. I want to write that down somewhere.
So, like, to me, I feel like you've accomplished a lot of what people want to accomplish. So now people want to be able to do what you're doing, not just regular people, because I feel like it's almost like a dopamine hit. It's like a drug hit. So every time, like, you're getting this crazy rush. So the regular people want that rush, but these corporations want to figure out how you are doing what you're doing to be so influential on 5 million people, to go from 2 to 3 to 4. And I feel like you're giving it away in some of it. Because part of me was like, when you were doing like a Chipotle bit and you had the Chipotle thing in your shirt, and I'm like, this guy's got to be getting paid from Chipotle. Because like it would make sense. Right? When you're telling me it's all organic, you're like, all right, so now you're pure organic on it. You just need to find a way to, when we were talking at AMH, right? Adam and Melhawks, they were very much like, it's crazy that you wield this power over all these people that are following you, right? So if you're saying, hey, we really want to do this thing with Jack Black, let him know. And then the whole team of your followers is like, hey, Jack Black, and
they just bug the guy,
Yeah.
Well, you now have like this legion, this army that's with you, that you got to be like, all right, maybe not aim for like that, depending on what you believe in and you love product wise. Maybe you say, hey, guys, go tell them I need to be the one speaking for them on TikTok. Now, your email might hit the person like, and they're like, don't email me here. But if they have constant like, hey, Jordan the Stallion, you need to talk to Jordan the Stallion. Why aren't you talking to Jordan the Stallion? Blah, 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 blah. And your million people go over there and flood a stream with them, and that pushes it. I think that's a way more influential tactic than you saying, hey, I got 5 million people. Instead of I got 5 million people, let 100,000 people just hit their hashtag on one of the platforms. And now it's like, hey, this guy's making some noise. He obviously controls this pocket. Maybe we should get behind him. And then you hit the guy up and be like, hey, you know those people that hit you up? I'm going to take them all over to Moe's Southwestern Grill if you don't start doing the right thing.
That's great.
And I think that's how I would go about it from a business perspective.
Absolutely.
You've done something that a lot of people can't do. You've created all these people being part of your community and your team, right? Yeah. So now utilize that. Like now that you have that, you need to just be a guerrilla marketing. And not that I'm trying to knock a day job. Like I think it's cool to be still working the.
I'll knock one.
John burns more bridges than me.
Love that. You gotta have a balance. Absolutely.
I'm like, I'm not gonna shit on Michael Jordan. Like, I might sit next to him.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. Yeah, John and I can completely shit on the Michael Jordan dream right now. Good for you. You keep that going.
I might be getting shoes in the mail one day.
Exactly. Yeah.
And to Tom's point, on the flip side of that, have you ever thought about using that 5 million to destabilize a government?
You know what? You know what? That's more my brother's speed, actually. You know, and I think we should probably work on. One was funny. I love it because my brother is definitely in that mindset of like, okay, like fucking the rich is evil, and we did it. And I'm like, I totally get you. I get you. But if I was rich, I would definitely fucking spend it. Okay, come on, now hear me out. You're like, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, yeah. Fuck rich people.
I feel
God
you, dude.
Damn it, Teslas are cool. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
right?
I feel like I would get, like, if I did that kind of shit, I would still give. You know what I mean? I feel like that's how I justify it too. But also, there's like, if I would think about this all the time. If I were like uber wealthy, there's people who would never fucking see me again. Like, I have like, just fucking peace out.
Oh,
God.
House
Most of them
built
are John's
into the
family
side of a
members.
mountain. Yeah, most of my family. Yeah. What family, Tom?
Okay, there you go. Now that money's talking. No, I see how you get the fucking. What are you talking about? I'm not your fucking son. No, the thing was right. No, I feel you because even now, like with the platform doing again what it's doing, there's people that I was again like more of acquaintances with, or people that I've talked with, that now they hit me up, and in my head I'm like, I know we've never talked, ever until now, right? And because of that, right, just my circle, the circle of people that I have is so small now. It's very small. And I didn't notice until I think but last week I got very, very exciting news that had to do with social media stuff. And mind you, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if it's going to come into fruition yet. I hope so, right? But if it does, that's really huge. It's big. But I'm like, okay, I'd love to tell people that I know. I want to get excited about it. I realized I only had 3 fucking people to tell. I'm like, oh shit. I don't have many people. Because after I told those 3 people, I'm like, I'm done, I guess. I can't really say anything else. Like,
I think we exchanged phone numbers. You can tell me shit. That's fine.
I mean, I absolutely fucking love to, of course. You're like, John, you will not fucking believe. Why you got to come back on the show like, Jordan will not leave me the fuck alone.
That is fine. That is fine. But I know what you mean too. And it is kind of cool because I like that kind of like especially after the pandemic, I feel like things have crystallized in a certain way where like there's people I don't want to talk to anymore, which is great. And then but I'm also not one of those people who like, I don't announce it publicly on a fucking platform. You know, those people who are like, I've decided to limit no, I'm just like, it's a nice realization, you know, to have your close friends and shit. And then on top of that too, like there's just certain things I won't do anymore, even gig wise. Like, I'm like, why am I driving that far for fucking not enough to care about?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And I'm like, that doesn't seem, that seems crazy to me now. And I kind of love that. Like, it's fun to say no to certain shit because you're just like, I don't need it.
Absolutely, and you're right. To be at that set, one was funny. I'd make fun of this thing where I was like, I don't get out of bed for nothing less than 50,000. Like, hey, fuck you. But now you're like, oh fuck yeah, I really don't. I don't answer my phone for anything less than, because you really do. You're like, why am I driving out to do this shit if I don't have to? I literally don't have to.
Yeah,
like,
or pretending that hierarchies that you used to have, or that used to be there, like that are real. You're like, I don't need to do this fantasy shit anymore. Like, I know who survived well during this pandemic. I know who lost their fucking minds. And it put everything kind of in a perspective where I was like, yeah, that shit doesn't exist anymore for me. I don't need to acknowledge it still bothers me that like people will pretend that somebody is somehow above them in a certain way. Like, and I understand that, like, you know, you were talking about before, people have the keys or like access to stuff. But I also feel like once you kind of realize that, like, yeah, this person is no different than me or anybody else, except that they just happen to have come with the access to things that I don't have. I'm going to have to work harder to get it, but do I want to waste my time and aggravation and energy working with somebody who already has it that I think's a piece of shit? Or do I just want to go down that fucking other path and, you know, fight the obstacles, but still wind up, you know, having peace of mind? I'd rather have the peace of mind.
Absolutely. I think it's fun. There's a TV show I watched back when I was like 20 years old. It was Ballers. With Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
I remember that show.
Right? I was so into that fucking show. And there was an episode, I think it was like it was funny because The Rock had said my dad, his dad was grandpa, like he always busted his ass. He worked super hard as like a janitor or something. I can't remember what it was. And he's like, and he was so he told himself like, oh, the guy, the big guy that runs the whole shit. There's no way I can be that person because of this, this, and this, right? And I think the end of the episode, he said, "Want to know what my dad told me that he learned the difference between him and the man that runs everything?" And they're like, "What?" He's like, "Absolutely nothing at all." And I'm like, that's actually so. It's so simple, but it's so true. He's like, there's nothing different between him and the man who runs everything, besides the fact that they're just not in the same position. Literally, he said, if he wanted to, he could do exactly what that man does, and to have that mentality with whatever you want to do. Like, what's the difference between me and fucking Michael B. Jordan? Well, I think genetically a lot, but I'm saying besides that, right? I'm saying besides that, right? Nothing at all. Nothing at all.
Right.
If I put the effort, if I put this, if I put my mind to what I feel like it could be that way for, and if that's for anybody, right?
Yeah,
I think the biggest thing, like I said, I played Division I ball, but the thing was, I was in high school. I didn't play baseball. I didn't touch a baseball until I was 16 years old, and I was god awful. I was literally dog. I was bad at it. I was, you know what I'm saying? I was bad at baseball, and I would get bullied for it. I get made fun of for it. I get told X, Y, Z, up, down, right. I was getting told not to do it, right?
Right.
And it was this long journey to you know, because I wanted to be a Division I player. Because in sports, you have Division III, Division II, Division V, but Division I is like you're on TV and you have a lot of this, and I wanted that, right? And the biggest wake up call for me doing that, because I was in the gym all the time, I was in the cage all the time, I was trying to get better, and I failed more times than I could count or even remember, right? But they were telling me that that I took with me, and I tell everybody else to this day, is that when it comes to success, people like to think that they are people want to be the minority, right? Say if 90 people aren't successful, 10% are, right?
Yeah.
People want to be that 10% when it comes to success. When it comes to anything else, they want to be the majority. And the thing is, right? There's that people that are like, okay, well, only 10% make it. There's no way I'm gonna now. I have to be that 90%. I'm not that 10%, right? I was told, you need to work as if you are that 10%. You need to believe and work and apply yourself as if you are that 10%. And it's just a fact, right?
Yeah.
And if you fail, you're the 90%. Oh shit! But if you don't, then you're right. You're the 10% the entire time. But there's no reason for you not to believe that you're that 10% that makes it. And for me, that's how I always saw it. I'm in this gym all the time. I'm in the kids all the time because I'm the 10% that makes it. And then, and then because of that, I had signed a letter of intent, and I played for a Division I school, and it was the biggest revelation of my life. So when it comes to this kind of stuff, I want to believe, even with TikTok or whatever it is, there's people with 25 million followers, people with 15 million, 10, fucking 30, whatever. I only have 5, but because I'm like, look, I still believe that I'm the 10, 5, 2% that can get from TikTok to maybe do something that's lucrative enough that I can get myself out of this situation, my family out of this situation, and not have to work a day in my life. Essentially, I don't like when people are like, I've never worked a day in my life. Okay, a job is a job, but you can still enjoy your job, right? I want to be able to have a job that I enjoy. So
exactly.
As long as you're doing what you love, it's not. I don't think it's work. Like I feel like I don't really work because I do what I enjoy. If I didn't enjoy it, I wouldn't do it. And I've never gone after something saying, "Hey, I need to make this much money." I say, let me figure out what I really love, and then I'll find a way to make money at it. And I feel like you're there, like you're doing exactly that. I have a question for you too. Now, you said earlier that you've gotten, you get a million messages and DMs from people you never thought you would. What's your craziest?
Oh God. Okay. The craziest one, I was still working at Krispy Kreme, and I got a message from a guy that said, my bad. He said, I want you to rail me. Now, mind you, I'm like, let me not respond to this because because in my mind, I'm like, look, I'm very flattered, but I'm in a relationship. So, you know what I mean? Again, I'm mind you, I'm like, look, I don't swing that way, but there's absolutely there's no problem with shooting your shot. Why not? Right. So, but the thing was, he messaged, I want you to rail me. Then later that night, he said, I'm so sorry, I misspoke. Boom. That was the second message. Then the third message by the next day was the little asterisk to make the correction. He said, I want to rail you. I was like, oh, fuck. My bad. Hey, buddy. Like, what the fucking... I can only, but I can appreciate that he's like, I fucked up. Let me get back. Sorry, I'm so sorry. I want to rail you. Like that was probably hands down the funniest thing I got sent. Cause I'm like, what the fuck's going on?
Wow.
Like it was great. It was honestly
what a great autocorrect.
Right? I'm like, what kind of keyboard do you got? Because fuck, that's crazy. Jesus. Yeah, that was probably the craziest DM I think I've gotten.
Also, that he assumed that, I think I know what this guy's actually into. He's not.
You know what I'm saying?
I know why he didn't answer. He's
exactly.
a power
He's
bottom.
like, he didn't hit me up. Oh, fuck my bad. Well, I'm so inconsiderate. I want to rail you. Boom, there we go. Let's get that in there.
It says Jordan the Stallion, not the bottom. Like it's
right. He's like, oh, where's my brain at? Oh, I'm so sorry.
So good.
Wow, that is fucking wild. What's the best one you've gotten?
Oh, the best DM? Oh, shit. Well, I guess besides this one, getting offered to be on a show where I could maybe talk about this stuff. I'd say the best DM. Oh God. Okay, I'm not gonna lie to you. Okay, the best DM I think I've gotten that I did not answer. I did not answer this DM, but there was this young lady. I guess she was a doctor. She already like had her own house, had like her own situation. She was an independent woman. She's like, I love your voice. I want you to read me bedtime stories as I do XYZ. I'm like, okay, like why not, right? And then she said, I would love to do nothing but take care of you for the rest of your life. I'm like, this sounds great. And then I'm like, okay, like everyone says that. I look at her profile, I'm like, oh, she's a doctor. Oh my God, right? And then the whole, like that was probably the one time I'm like, look, man, I'm like, I'm in a happy relationship. There's no way that I'm going to. I'm like, oh God, like to where I had to call my friend. I called my friend. I'm like, I want you to make note of this. I'm a good boyfriend. You've been here. You're a witness. I didn't do. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah,
that was probably the most intriguing, most like very polite thing I've gotten text. I'm like, this is very sweet of you to offer. I did not respond, of course.
Are you still in this relationship?
So no, and again, that's like due to my own situation, not even because of the social media stuff, due to the fact, like I said, just more of like mentally. I really was not that. I could not be the person that I wanted to be for her. So, we separated. But again, I wish her the best completely. But even though we had separated, right?
Yeah.
I still don't entertain the messages.
Really?
I still don't.
It's dude. I
want to revisit the doctor.
No, I do not. I'm like, God bless. Find somebody. Yeah, no, I can't. I personally, I can't.
100% understand the DM thing, and it's always fucking like not but I've done the same thing where like I've got like a couple of my friends who I will screenshot this shit to just so somebody else has an idea of what I'm fucking getting, and I'm like just so you know this is some and then I also go like sometimes like down the week I'll be like, hey, you got to talk me out of this. I think I might want to respond. And they're like, don't. And I'm like, I know, like, but it's 2 a.m. and I'm all
right. Dude, for me, it's like, you're right. Cause it's like, you're right. It's always at night and you're like, let me wait till the morning when, during business hours, if this is still intriguing, you're like, nope, we're good. We're good. No.
Exactly. Or just, what's crazy too, is like, you do that kind of shit. And I've actually like to the point where like I've done that where you engage with somebody and you're like, oh, they seem normal. You check them out, you go through their fucking profile, and then you realize that you're not, and they're not, and you cannot, especially you can't. You have to let it phase out naturally and hope to Christ they get bored. Otherwise, you're fucking locked in.
You're like so fucked.
And I've talked, and that's another thing I've talked to my friends about too, where I'm like, I don't know why I talk to people. When you're just like, this is now a thing now. I have to wait until she just goes away.
You got to wait till it fizzles out. And it's funny because you'll do that, right? You'll do that. They'll, because now they have access to you. Now they're boom, boom. You're like, fucking chill out. Like you won't respond to it, but then you're still doing your thing. You're posting, you do whatever you got to do. And then you notice that and they're like, then you're like, fuck, like, how do I get out of this? Right. So I know when you get out of it, you're like, I'm never doing that.
Yes. Again, oh my God.
Right.
And then of course, 5 months later, you're like,
and then you find you're like, fuck. Well, who knows, right?
She's cute. Yeah, it's a goddamn, it's a nightmare. It's and some of them I've made like great friendships with, great relationships with, but at some point, it's funny too, because like you're just getting, you're just fucking getting old, and you're like, when am I gonna stop meeting strangers?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Like they come to comedy shows and they're like, "Oh, you didn't answer my DM," and I'm like, "There's a reason. Why are you here?"
Yeah. There's a reason, because you're asking me this right now. That's exactly why I didn't answer your fucking DM.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
It's so fucking weird.
Dude, I said I feel you. As of now, at least with the company that I'm with, right? The people that I'm with, I have no interest in messaging, not nobody, not know how. I'm very happy with it. But you are right. Even for safety reasons, because I'll be like, again, I'll be live, right? Or I'll be around my area or my home, and people will be like, "Where do you live? Where do you work? Where do you work?" And you really want to know. And then part of you like wants to be open, like, "Oh, I live here," but you're like, "No, wait, because fuck, no."
Yes,
because people can really actually find you, and you're like, "Oh, fuck,
dude,
okay."
I had that. So that's another thing too. Is like, I mean, I wasn't just texting people that I thought that were like hitting me up or whatever, like trying to be flirty too. It was like people. I was arguing with people like a moron, like during the whole thing where it was like it was hard to kind of turn. Tom knows because we were showing him for a while because it's hard to turn that shit off, and you're like, you go back to it and you read it and you get a bunch of shit all the time or whatever. And I was like, I don't need to like engage. It was weird at one point. I try to think of like. People don't always want to be who they present themselves to be online. So I'm like, maybe they're lonely, maybe they're sad, but also on the flip side, it's like, it's not our responsibility to handle that either.
No, not at all.
Like, but it was interesting. This one, I have one instance where this dude was like trolling me on every post out of the blue, even old ones that I had. And he was just like, "Fuck you and your blue check mark and blah, blah, blah." And like all this other shit. Right. And I literally DM'd him and I went, "Are you okay?" And he was like, "What the fuck, dude? That's so weird. Why are you DMing me?" And I was like, "Because you seem to have a genuine problem with the fact that I have a blue check." And I said, "And I don't even care that I have." I was like, "Do you want to know how I got it?" Like, and I literally explained it to him. And then I was like, "And I'm going to ask you again, are you okay?" And he was like, "Well, no, not really." And he's like, "My fiance," and he just went through a list, and I like talked to him for a bit, and he was like, "Dude, I just want it's really cool of you to message me." But and then at the same time, like, then it was like he was talking to me every day, and on one hand, I was like, I'm really glad this dude is calmed down, and on the other hand, I'm never fucking doing this again.
No,
because now it's like,
and you've created Eminem's stan.
You really did. Freaking no, dude, honestly, you're right. It's funny because people will freak out on you. The funny part is, so like when I was just doing TikTok, right? And in your head, you're like, okay, how do I know if my content's getting to the For You page? For me, it was when I started getting called the racial slurs. I'm like, yes, I'm on the For You page because I know it's going to spread out to a wider range. I'm like, yes.
Right.
But the thing is, again, you're right. People get very angry with you, and then for the most part, at first, because again, like you don't have an abundance of people, so it's just there. You see it all the time.
Right.
But as of now that you're at a certain status point, like you'll see it, and they're talking all kind of ways about you and to you and this and that, and then sometimes I'll message them, "Hey, dude, like, what's up?" They change immediately. "Oh my god, I love you." So and you're like, okay, so this is not, you just want attention.
Yeah,
you just want the attention thing.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, I get it now, right? And then it puts into perspective for me now when I'm trying to message, or when I was or am or whatever, trying to message celebrities or quote unquote celebrities that I know of, or musicians or whatever. I'm like, hey, dude, I now completely, I take the word fan out of my vocabulary.
Yeah.
I don't like to say, "Hey, I'm a fan." I don't like saying that anymore because I'm like that. Because that's not how it emulates how I'm actually feeling nowadays. Now,
right.
I message them like, "Hey, I respect what you do. It's good work." Because it's not like I'm a fanatic. It's not like I'm like, "Oh my god, I love if you just respond." It's more of like, "Hey, I appreciate what you're doing. If you hit me up, cool. If not, don't." But you're right. Because of that, it puts things in perspective.
Yeah, people forget that that's where the word fan comes from, is fanatic, and I think that that's understated a lot of the time too, because it's endearing to have fans, and I'm like, it's a little fucking creepy.
Oh, absolutely,
is what it is, like creepy. As a whole, like you appreciate it, and then there's a part of it where they think they own your content, what you do. There's so many people that I'm probably sure you get the same thing too, where they try to tell you what to talk about and what you need to address and why have you been talking about this, and it's like, fuck off. Like the worst part of it too is like, I always address this and I tell people this sometimes that I don't know. I feel like I'm not on anybody's team. Like I have my point of view. It's obviously very left of
Right, but it doesn't
very
mean you're
left of
just
center.
full straight up blood. I mean, you're right.
Yeah.
You're not,
And it's like, but I loathe and detest when I'm on like some like during the pandemic and stuff like that, when I was like, during all the income inequality stuff, universal healthcare stuff, the election, and the BLM like all that stuff like wrapped into one. There were people who were literally like, I had called out a restaurant in my old hometown because years ago they had posted a sign when Eric Garland was murdered, and a digital neon fucking sign, and it's these fucking go oh shit,
he's out.
See, yeah, he's out.
And oh shit, let me get out of here. No, go to the side.
Yeah, they posted this neon sign, and it was like 6 years ago. And it was Eric Garland died, and it was in red that said, "I can breathe, I obey the law." And I remember posting it before I really had any followers back then, because I was just like, "Fuck this restaurant, fuck these people,"
absolutely.
They're just a bunch of angry Guidos who are looking for cop support in their town, and that's it. So then pandemic hits, and every restaurant is like, support us, help us, give us money. And I noticed this guy fucking doing it. So I'm like, okay, well, I grabbed that thing from 5 years ago, the post that I had, reposted it, and was like, look, everybody, we are in, dire straits, hard times. Nobody knows what's going on. We're all trying to figure out where to put our money. And I would love to tell you where not to put it.
Love that.
So if you can, don't put it here.
Absolutely.
It fucking blew up, and which was great. But from that, it was like, after that, like, which is great. I was happy it got the attention. He had to make a public apology, which is my favorite thing, right? So like, he makes this public apology, like the newspaper chases him down. But when he did it, I commented underneath it, which is they also picked up. So right in this article, it says like, the owner of the restaurant said, he's sorry, that was 6 years ago, yada, yada. And I went, yeah, sure. Now that the public's turned on you, your opinions change. And I went, well, while you're apologizing, also apologize for the penny vodka, because it sucks. And then
I fucking love that.
So I was like, just kept doing that shit. But then after that, people on like, our side of the aisle, whatever, like sending me restaurants to like that they thought were that needed to be. And I was like, whoa. Like, this is not a like.
This
is not like a call out line thing. It was just something I had seen. I felt public. It's so weird, because then they think like, oh, we're on the same team and I get to own you. Like your followers are mine, and I'm going to tell you what you should say something about. And if you don't, you're a piece of shit for not saying anything. And I'm like,
exactly.
That was a quick 180.
Dude, it's super quick. It's super quick. And what do they say in social media? They're just in life in general. Like one oh shit is worth 10 attaboys. So it's like you can do 10 things beautifully. You fuck up once, that erases all of it. So like you said, you like they're just like, oh no, you're the guy. Hey, do this, and you're like, no. And they're like, well, then fuck you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I guess you're on their side.
Okay. Exactly. No, so I guess you're over there. No, like, no, I'm fucking clearly not.
Right.
But I'm just. And you're right. Eventually, you end up getting quote unquote, I guess, typecasted. You to where they're like, oh, you do this. You're known for this. Do this. And you're like, no. Yeah. I just like doing this as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. It's so there was this, I can't remember the name of the TikToker, and I feel bad because I should, but that Bob Ross documentary came out. Bob Ross is the painter who's like, there's a happy accident of a tree.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah. So they found out, in the documentary or whatever, which if I feel like if you gave a shit, if you liked him as much as people complaining about him now say they did, you would know this. He cheated on his wife at one point. That's terrible, but whatever.
Right.
So anyway, so the documentary says,
but whatever.
I mean, like, look, to each their own. I don't know their fucking exact. I got, I get it. Whatever. I mean, it's whatever. So so he does that, and then I guess there were a lot of like angry TikToks or whatever where they were like, used to love Bob Ross, but fuck him now. First of all, the guy's dead, but like, but like, fuck him now. And then this TikToker made this beautiful like point where she was just like, there's a reason why my generation, Gen Z, has no role models, is because the minute they do something awful, you throw them the fuck out with it. And it's something I've been talking about for years, where it's like, yeah, like you, like some perspective, like it's weird that you can live an incredibly long life and have done things that are both good and bad and still be a decent I feel like that's just missing from the online conversation today because it's a whole other world online.
Of course. And the beautiful thing, two things real quick. One, I might have to plug my charger in. It might have that
Sure.
echo.
No worries.
So just want to warn you on that. But two, you're right. I think a TikToker that I saw early on doing this, which I thought was so, I never saw it this way. Where
Right.
she's like, I was doing TikToks yesterday, right? Because I think they're funny. I think it was cool. I was doing a video because I thought it was fucking cool. She's like,
Right.
now I gained 30,000, 40,000 followers overnight. Now all of a sudden, right, I have this responsibility that I didn't know I had.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden I have to make every decision perfect. And she's like, I definitely haven't. Right. So she's like, if you guys look at my past right now, you might not like what you see.
Right.
But that is strictly because you decided to make me this person, which I'm like, oh, okay. I guess perspective wise, that's true. I mean, look, like, and you're right. Like the people that you decide to like, the craft that you decide to look at all the time, right? People aren't perfect. They're humans. They're humans.
Yes,
They're humans. We
exactly.
make mistakes. We make mistakes. Sometimes we make more than one mistake. Sometimes we make a mistake right after a fucking mistake.
Yes.
But the fact is that for, again, like I said, every oh shit, there's an attaboy. There it's a yin and yang. You do a bunch of good with that. There's also bad, but it's about accepting as a whole. If you can't accept the person as a whole, then don't accept the person at all.
Right.
But then don't accept the person, say you love them, say you're great, say, oh, I love you so much, Found out, oh shit, you flipped off a fucking blimp yesterday? I fucking hate you. Like, okay.
Yeah, and I always, and the weird thing is I remember being younger and I always loved people, celebrity, anybody, like anybody with any kind of value or whatever it was. Everybody has value. You know what I mean? Like people that were kind of like older than me in the public eye, in spite of the mistakes they made. I loved when they were these flawed human beings and then they decided to be something else. You know what I mean? Or they were trying or constantly working on themselves or, just trying to live their lives. I thought there was some kind of,
but aren't we all flawed humans though? I feel like people are in such glass houses when it comes to social media because
no one needs to know who they are. And also it's a giant mental health issue for the most part. I've said this a million times over and over again, but it's like when you're on like Twitter is one of the most perfect examples of that. It's people not checking their own shit constantly, and then they just take their aggression and kind of project it onto somebody else.
Yeah.
And it's always weird. Did we lose him?
He's checked that. He's like, well, I'm done with you guys.
I know. He's like, it's a nice angle though. I do like it.
I like the light over the shower. I feel like that's perfect.
Oh my God. I didn't, you know what? There? That is interesting. I've never seen that before.
No, I've seen that before. I like that. I like it when you could go in the shower and just put the light on you and then all the other lights are off. Very, very soothing.
I have never had that happen before. That's actually pretty sweet.
You know what's even cooler? My uncle had this light that was like a heat lamp that after you got out of the shower, you turn on this heat lamp, it dries you.
Dude, that in fucking hotels was always amazing. Like that, when I get into a hotel and they've got that shit where you just stand under the fucking heat lamp and let let it consume you. That's pretty great. I think maybe his phone died. He said he needed to charge it.
Possibly,
maybe he didn't make it in time.
Possibly. I'm hoping he comes back just so we get our last question in at least.
I know. Yeah, we need that one question. I'll see if he's if he hits us up on social media. But
I'm gonna toss this out there. If his phone's dead, the text message is probably not the best route.
And maybe he's got the listen. If it's got Apple products all around, he can text from anything.
It's true. And
Apple's connected 24/7. He doesn't have
Apple products all around. We need to get him the.
There we go.
Deal with it. There we
Dude, can you hear me?
Yes.
So, dude, you guys were talking. I'm like, okay, this is great. I'm on 1%. I'm like, I'll put the thing in, and my phone decided to take 2 shits on itself. I'm like, fuck. And in my head, I'm like, they're probably talking about something so dope right now.
No, we were just talking shit when you froze.
We've had so many, dude. Before I got an Ethernet cable onto this thing, I would leave in the middle of guests talking. Like the internet would crap out, and Tom would be like, "John's gone," and so
one of my favorite episodes ever. This poor guest, she was so sweet. She's a singer. So
do you know the band Milo Green?
Check them out if you haven't. Check them out. Marlena
they're
Sheets.
Great. She's one of the lead singers of Milo Green and Marlena Sheets. She was on, and yes, go ahead.
So she's on John Has a Storm. I actually started the episode and I walked away. as this is going on, he cuts out and she's sitting there by herself and like, is this a bit? I don't know. But still live.
Part of the segment? Fuck.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
She's like, that's weird. They just left me here. It's fun. It's so funny. It's edited out of the episode, but I have all the footage, and
All the
she was a
outtakes.
champ for like 5 minutes. She was like, I guess I'll just wait and talk to the people watching myself. It was great.
As she should. As she should. She's like,
Yeah.
hey guys, this is my show now, I guess.
Yeah.
Marlena Sheets on
great.
Dystopia Tonight.
Oh God, yeah, that was fucking hilarious. But yeah, we so we have like a couple more questions to ask. We ask everybody this one, so I'm gonna lay it down for you. So basically, if you could go back in time and talk to your younger self and give yourself a piece of advice that would help you now, what would it be?
Oh gosh. Gosh, and you see that's the funny part about it. I ask myself this question a lot as of recent. I'm like, fuck, like would
Nice.
it change a lot or whatever?
Right.
But in my head, I'm like, if I changed anything, I would not have 5 million followers on TikTok at all. I promise you that. If I had to go back in time and tell myself anything, it would be just be patient. Like really, because I'm still learning the actual idea of patience. I'm being so honest with that. I've been such an impatient person that I want to go back and tell my younger self, like, eagerness is great, but patience is even better. Have patience. Know how to move with urgency, with haste, but in a patient way.
Right.
And if I feel like if I do that, I'd set myself up better with a lot of things.
That's great
Nice.
advice.
That is great advice. Yeah, I understand the patience thing too.
He has none either.
I have.
Beautiful.
I know. I really don't. I was like, that hit a little too close to home. That's great. I have another one for you too that I was just thinking of. And you'll be the first one we ever asked this to. But what had to end in order for you to get where you are now? Does that make any sense? You know what I mean?
That's a very good question. All right, you asked me a question that you haven't asked anybody. I'm going to give you an answer I haven't gave anybody about this one. So I think if my parents watch this, surprise, I guess. I think what had to end for me was baseball. I think I'm done playing baseball, actually. And coming to terms with that has been really, really hard. But I think in order for me to actually become the person and realizing that I'm a person, I didn't realize I had a sense of humor until I stopped playing baseball. Genuinely.
Wow.
I didn't realize.
Yeah, you're fucking hilarious, dude. So.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. In my head, I did, because again, people were talking about comedic timing and stuff like that. I don't know. I'm like, oh, okay. But just knowing that I have a personality and a life outside of baseball, it has been huge for me. So I think baseball had to end in order for me to actually be who I am.
Wow.
I find that so interesting that you say that, but yet you still have a bat in your hand as we speak to you.
Yeah, still spread around the house.
He's like, I'm still not sure I'm giving this up, but
this
might be it.
It's like I stopped smoking. I have a cigarette behind my ear.
Yeah,
just keep it on your shoulder.
That's great. It helps you think. I get it.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Beautiful question.
Awesome. That's great. Oh, thanks, man. Yeah. And Tom, did you have another one?
Well, I was gonna say, because I feel like as an athlete, like I feel like as a kid I played football and this and that, and then I was getting a scholarship to a school and I broke my leg, and I have the letters from the school drafting me and telling me I'm getting a full ride with room and board, and I have the letter not accepting me because I broke my leg in a game right before it. Yeah. So I got both letters, and learning that you're only good to them when they need you taught me a lot at a super young age. And I feel like, did you let that sport, because when I was a kid, I was like, I'm just going to play football. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do it at my best intent. And that's all your focus was. And I remember breaking my leg in a game on my birthday. Right.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And then on the field, I was cursing and screaming, and my coach comes over. He's like, "You're gonna get us a flag. Stop it. A penalty. You're gonna stop it. You can't curse." Turn over and bite my mouthpiece, And I'm like, Coach, it's broke. He's like, it can't be broke. You're a starter. I'm like, all right, I guess it's not broke. I put my mouthpiece back in, went to the sideline, sat there, watched the rest of the game, went back, watched the game film where I saw my leg break. Then went to I was like, my captain, I was like, Moose, you want to take a ride with me? Just bring me to the hospital real fast. I got to get this x-rayed. Not a tear, right? Just the whole time. I just remember screaming as my bone clicked against itself. Get to the hospital. I remember me saying to the doctor, we're going to be in Syracuse next week. Am I going to be good to go with this? And he's like, oh, he put the x-ray up. He goes, no, you'll never play again. And I started crying, like hyperventilating, crying. Yeah, like when you take a toy from a kid and it's like, oh
yeah,
like that
yeah,
like that legit. And I'm like, wow, my whole world collapsed. And then I remember driving back out because I was 17 at the time. I went to my girlfriend's sweet 16 that night I was going to, but I was like, stopped by the school, and now I finally gathered myself. And the coach comes out and he's like, how's everything? And I just again break down, and I'm like, I remember the change in your personality, like the change of what you thought life was going to be.
Yeah.
To like what it evolves to. So I feel like you're in that evolution at this very moment, because now it's your realization of, all right, baseball was great for this, and now you're going on another trajectory. What do you see that trajectory being for you?
Oh, that's a great question. And that's the thing. It's hard for me to say, because even up to this point, right? I guess people try to say I'm a comedian. The thing is, right, and I tell them this, I'm like, I don't want to disrespect comedians by saying I'm a comedian, because being a comedian is in fact an art. It's an art. It's more than just walking up and telling some fucking jokes. There's a science to it. There's an actual feeling to it. There's a dedication to it. It's just like a sport, if not even worse, because you're at the mercy of way more than just a coach, a team, a game, right? You have a bad game, have a better one next time. You have a bad set, that fucks you up, because it's just you. It's just you.
Absolutely.
You have to actively be like, okay. Oh, that was weird. My TV turned on. You have to fucking ghost here. You have to actively tell yourself, I'm not shit. I'm still funny, even though you have a set where no one fucking laughed. You know what I'm saying? There's more to it than just telling some jokes for 60 seconds. So I don't want to tell people, oh, I'm a comedian, because I'm not. I'd like to be. It sounds nice. I like to be a comedian. I like to be an entertainer in some way, shape, or form, of course. But in regards to what I see myself doing, all I know is that I wouldn't mind doing this. I wouldn't mind doing whatever the fuck this thing is. Right. I wouldn't mind doing it at a different level, or maybe in a different way, to where I can, tell more jokes to people, or maybe tell more stories, or do something like that. And like you said, if you're good enough at something, you'll find the money will find you. And sweet fuck, I'm not even hiding. I hope they find me. But the thing is, right? That for the future, I would like to do whatever this is, in a more
structured environment.
More structured environment.
Yes. Yeah. That's great, man. Yeah, it's funny. You do have comedic. There's something you said in the TikTok story. What was the TikTok story that you just posted today?
I did. So I technically did 3.
Oh, okay. The one that you were talking about, where you said you just posted one an hour ago or something.
Oh yeah. About adults leaving adult drinks all over the fucking house, and you're
yes. And you said you said the line in the middle of the story, or whatever. And I don't know if you actually said this on your TikTok, or if you just said it when you were in conversation with us. But you had said about
I like your mom likes wine, and we have matching schedules.
You have matching schedules. You don't understand the appreciation level that I have. That is a beautiful line, and time can be like I laughed so fucking hard, because I was like, that's a great fucking line. That's a great joke. My mom and like the kid having it, like it hit all the right spots, and I was just like, that's fucking beautiful. I appreciated that more than like anything else of that. So I was like, oh, that's a beautiful line. Beautiful line.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, man, you should absolutely try stand up. When I come out to LA, we should get together and maybe I can get you like spots, or you can probably get you have 5 minutes. You can get somebody. You can get yourself some spots.
Dude, you might be able to get John.
But I would love. We got to hang out. We got to go to some clubs or whatever. That'd be great.
Dude, I would absolutely. Are you kidding me? I'd absolutely love to. You came out here, man. Yeah, 5 million or not, I would not say no to a spot and just trying it out. I told my brother, because he asked me about it. He's like, would you be willing to try stand-up? I'm like, the thing is, man, like I said, with baseball, I failed more times than I could even remember. So when it comes to failing, you're used to that. So I would not mind failing at something I want to try. Like I want to failing at something I would like to be good at. Like I can promise you this: the first set I do isn't gonna be good. I can tell you that. I can tell you that right now.
Well, first of all, you never fail at anything you're trying, because if you're trying, you're never failing. Like that's always thing that I always keep. Yeah. The other thing is, you think that you think your first, you could. I've had stories of friends and stand-ups and ever. My first time on stage, I did ridiculously fucking well. Still have the tape, but like for somebody's first time on stage, like the audience with me got laughs. The second time on stage, I ate a fucking dick. Like I died such a horrible fucking death where I was like, oh, okay. So this is not.
Like, you're in this shit now. Okay, now you're.
Oh yeah. So it was like it was such a weird contrast, and I remember like for such a long time in the beginning, you're just chasing the original high of doing that well. So you're like, wow, when am I ever gonna? And then of course you wind up getting jaded and nothing matters. But but it's fine. No, I'm not just kidding. It's everything gets great. I'm gonna wear that white shirt. It's gonna say it gets better. It's awesome.
Yeah, as you should. Jesus, that's fucking glorious.
Well, dude, dude, thank you so much for staying as long as you had, man, because this is usually only an hour, but I've had a fucking blast talking to you.
Oh, dude, thank you guys for having me. I'm not gonna lie, I was like, I don't know how long this is gonna be. The last interview I did was like 15 minutes, and I was like getting into it. I thought I was talking with the guy. I'm like, yeah, and he's like, all right, well, it's been fun. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like, so this is quite the opposite. I'm like, oh, these guys are super cool. We're just hanging out. So thank you very much for having me, man. This is so fun. It's beautiful meeting both of you.
Absolutely,
you too, man. Such a pleasure.
Come back whenever you want. You know, every time you want to come back on or whatever, and call me if you got something exciting going on, because I'll be there.
Oh, trust me, you're gonna. John, guess what? Like, okay.
Jordan now has 4 people to tell.
I have 4 people, exactly. That is what life is all about. There you go.
25% increase in friends. Can't beat that.
Dude, this is the best day of my life. Look at that.
Oh, so great, man.
I guess lasting words. Again, thank you. Meeting both of you guys. You guys are insanely good at what you guys do, and I really respect the fact you guys took some time out of your guys' night to talk with me. It means the world to me. So thank you.
Oh, thank you, man. It was such a pleasure. And it's an honor to meet somebody with such raw talent that's at the beginning of their journey, that's about to make more and more moves in so many different positions. I'm excited for you, man. I'm happy to be a friend now and along for the journey. I might not be in the top 4 yet, but sooner or later I'll get a phone call.
You guys are right there. You guys are on the short list, so that's fucking beautiful.
Oh, beautiful. I love it.
Thank you
Thanks
guys
so much for coming on, man.
Beautiful night. Thank you for having me.
Yep.
Thank you, man. It was such a pleasure. Thanks.
Take care, dude.
Dystopia tonight.